Okay, you guys, hello, how are you? My name is ashleyellix if you don't know me, and in this video today, I am focusing on the Melt Gemini and the Melt Gemini 2 palette that just recently launched. I bought the bundle, and I have some questions. I want to do a little versus video today, because if you're like me, you might be like, wait a second, I see a lot of similarities when it comes to the pictures, but I gotta be honest, right off the bat, when I actually got them in person, I saw a lot of differences. So that's the Melt Gemini 2, and then the Melt Gemini 1, the original, the OG, they both look like on pictures like they're gonna have a lot of green. Well, they do have some of the original Gemini has a lot of green, but I thought that this one was gonna be the number 2 more green than it actually was. So I want to though do comparisons. I'm gonna see if I can create the same eye look on both sides with the different palettes to see, like, say you like the green color story but you don't want that much and you prefer the rosy tone, like, can you get everything that you want out of this palette? Do you need the original Gemini? I'm not sure what questions you have. Ask them down below, but in the meantime I will hopefully provide you with the most comparison video that I can, not only of these palettes, but also swatching in comparison to some other ones that I thought of, like when I saw either one of these. So my original favorite from Melt is the 420 palette, and that is a very green palette. So I'll do these two from Melt. They're not that similar, but there's a couple shades that are similar. So maybe there's just like a couple shades that you really want and you want to see. I also have for the new one, the Gemini 2, because this one is very rosy tone. I have a couple rosy tone palettes that I love, the Huda New Nude and Naughty Nude. And also I just got the Patrick Ta, what is this actually called? The Major Dimension 2 eyeshadow palette. This one is super rosy tone, and this one came out at the exact same time of the Gemini 2. I actually was debating on which one I wanted to get, and I ended up getting both of them, obviously, because I love rosy tones. But what I'm gonna be doing today, I'll do all the swatches, show you guys all of that. Hair, contrast, do an eye look using just the Gemini 1 and 2 to see if we can create the same look. Hopefully that'll answer like your questions if you're trying to decide if you want one of these palettes or not. And that is what we're doing. So subscribe if you like these kind of videos and you want some more beauty content from me, and let's get into it. Let's go, boo. Boop. Diving right into specifications and swatches, let's start with the first Gemini palette. This one retails for $58 and includes 10 eyeshadows in here, 8 of which are matte and 2 of which are a thicker kind of metallic type of shimmer formula. Half the side is more of your neutral tone with a black shadow in there, and then you have the other half which is more on the green scale. The Gemini 1 palette this round does have a different packaging than its first edition, and I love the upgrade. I think it's absolutely stunning. It is raised texture finish on the palette, and the mirror also includes the roses in there. So gorgeous, and you'll see the imprint of the roses on the actual shadows. Going into Gemini 2, again, $58 for the palette, 10 shadows, 8 are matte. One of them is more of a smooth metallic shine, and the 10th one is more of your chunky glitter shimmer formula. The Gemini 2 palette is more of a rosy tone. They do complement each other very nicely, but you'll see they actually look quite different from each other. If you want to purchase both palettes, you can get a bundle on Melt Cosmetics website for $100. At the time of purchase, I was able to get a 20% discount code to use on that. So I think I only spent $80 on the two palettes together. Definitely search around, see if there's any codes you can use if you want to get the bundle. And with that said, you can either purchase these palettes on Melt Cosmetics website or you can purchase from Sephora, but Sephora does not offer the bundle, so bear that in mind. Let's compare the swatches of these two palettes. You'll see first of all though that side by side they do actually look quite different when you hold them up together, but complement each other at the same time. I definitely commend them. It's very much a play on that Gemini description of having dual sides of personality, but that complement each other. Okay, let's start our comparisons. The first up I want to compare is the Gemini 1 with the 420 palette, since this does have a very similar green color story. So I'll go through and see which ones I think are the most similar. Okay, so I only found this one right here that has a tiny bit of similar in depth, but really the tone is quite different. And same thing with this one right here. This one looks like it would be close, but this one is more green, so it definitely has a different look. Oh yeah, and this one. These ones are pretty much the only similar ones, only duping ones. So even though you can get the same kind of vibe, they do tell a different story. Just pulling out Smoke Sessions, the only one that I think may be similar is one of these to this one, but then when I go to swatch it, the shimmer, it's very, very different. This one is more of a muted kind of shade, and these greens over here are very, very green. Oh, They did it right. When they did this palette, those shimmers are right. But my verdict between Gemini 1 and 420 is it's still different enough. Let me know if it's different enough for you, because this is, even though it's kind of scattered, it is half neutral, half green, just like the Gemini, but the tones that are offered are very different, and those yellows and greens are so bright. Because these palettes came out at the same time and both offer rosy tones, let's compare it to the new Patrick Ta Volume 2 palette. Obviously, the greens aren't going to match up, but you will see that even though half the palette from Patrick Ta is a metallic formula, this metallic shade is kind of similar. It's a little bit brighter, a little bit redder, where the Melt one has a black base and is almost more of an orange. So you have that one right here, and there are a couple mattes that look very similar, especially in person. These two right there. That one has a similar tone, but it's a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. That's what I feel. I feel like the Patrick Ta one is almost a little bit richer. Same with this, but their base shade is a little bit lighter in there, or their transition shade. And then that one, I feel like this Melt one is more red, where the Patrick Ta one is more brown. So in case you're wondering how similar those shades are, those are the only comparisons I can make. Those are the only kind of similar-ish dupes, minus this one. I don't think that that's that close at all. If you're trying to decide between the two, hopefully this helps. Let me know if it helps you make your case one way or another, but I think they both kind of still stand alone, since half the Patrick Ta palette is a metallic glitter formula. Curious if we can find any similarities in the Huda Naughty Nude palette. I know, again, heavy metallic formula. The only dupes I could find is this shade right here, and then these don't completely really match up, so kind of totally stands alone in and of itself. And while we're at it, I went ahead and pulled the Huda Beauty New Nude palette. You will see, though, that this one is definitely more of a kind of purpley pink palette. I just added it with the Naughty Nude swatches in case you have both of them and you're trying to decide if you need the Gemini 2. These to me though look more burgundy, more violet, more pink, as opposed to the Melt, which is like a deep maroon type of shade and vibe to it. I did just find 3 similar dupes in the Beetlejuice Waiting Room palette. You can't get this one from Melt anymore, but I thought it'd be interesting to show you in case you do have it. These 3 shades from the Beetlejuice palette look very similar to the Gemini 2. That one, maybe that one has a tad bit more brown. That one's a little bit more maroon. These base shades, I almost prefer the Beetlejuice formula. It's a little bit creamier, a little smoother, a little more bang to it. And then this one here is kind of a rosy maroon. This one's a little bit more red. That one's a little bit more maroon. This hopefully helps you to decide if there are specific shades that you want in one of these Gemini palettes. Can you dupe it out within your own collection? So I'm kind of doing like, you know, it for you, so you don't have to go through it and you can be like, maybe this helps. Maybe I do want the standalone palette, but hopefully it does help and you find that interesting. I do, definitely, because I had these same questions when I was thinking about purchasing the Gemini palette. So let's start applying and trying out these two side by side. And of course, I will match as close as I can the shades. I feel like these two are the closest shades. This one, the green, and the green right here. So it's Almond Eyes in Gemini 2 and Fire OG in Gemini 1. I'm gonna start with this little flat blending type of brush, and I'm gonna place the Fire OG from Gemini right in here. And then taking a blending brush, and I'm just gonna buff that out. All right, just cleaned off my brush, going back in, same technique and everything, obviously, with Almond Eyes in the Gemini 2. Right off the bat, that one has more pigment to it and almost a grayish brown undertone. Take that fluffy brush and blend, 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 girl. Okay, hopefully you can tell the difference of those colors when they're actually applied. They are very similar, but yeah, that side is definitely more of like a yellow green, where this side, it's just a little bit deeper, darker, more of that grayish brown. Interesting. Let's move on though. Okay, so up here in Gemini 1, we have Cupcake, which is a nice brown shade, and Boy Mom. They have the most similar tones, but you can tell the Boy Mom is darker. So this will be interesting. I'm gonna look so like something's off about you. That's what the eye look's gonna look like. But still like a similar vibe. That's basically what I'm trying to see, is like, do you need both? Let me take that on the corner right here. Gorgeous shade and so pigmented. It's just what I love about Melt formulas. I'm gonna take it into the crease a little bit and then make sure that's blended. Let's go ahead and do that on the inner corner too. I guess I'll do like more of a halo eye. Now going into Boy Mom. Yeah, that complements the green beautifully because it's also like that brown that leans grayish, you know? I guess more of an ash tone, which is weird when you think about it, that brown is more, yeah, I would almost expect that one to be in a rosy palette because it is almost like a warmer type of brown. So that's kind of interesting. Pop it onto the inner corner here. Okay, let me know if you see that. Yeah, the brown's definitely more ashy. That's more warm for sure. Giving off different vibes. It is. This is more of a darker, smoky green eye look, where this one, that's green. Like that one, you definitely know it's like a mossy green from the first Gemini, which kind of the vibe that I got from the first Gemini is like a mossy neutral green palette. The hardest part, honestly, is gonna be matching the shimmers because they are so different. Mateo in Gemini 2 is a very bronze green. The only shimmer in the Gemini 1 is this one, but so let's just, we'll apply it just for comparison purposes. Yeah, you can see that. That is so pretty. But Melt's shimmer formula, metallic formula, I just don't like how it's so inconsistent. This just feels dry and scratchy. It's coming off very nicely, which is really what I want to ask for, but I just, okay. I mean, it's pretty though. At least it's looking good. Blend that a little bit. Very pretty. This is gonna like, you're really gonna be able to tell the difference in the palettes here. Let's take Mateo and Gemini 2. Yeah, that is a totally different shade. I used this already in my 2 looks 1 palette using Gemini 2 in case you missed that video. I did already do that. You can check it out. I'll link it in the description box. Yeah, look at how different that shimmer shade is. So those are the closest shades I can find between the palettes to create a look. Obviously the shimmer throws it off completely. The mattes though, you saw, like they were pretty different, have a similar vibe, but just different undertones. So let me go even this out because honestly it's gonna drive me nuts and I'll give my final thoughts, okay? Okay, much better, much more evened out. Now I can look at myself and maybe make it easier for you guys to look at me too. So anyways, let's talk about these palettes in comparison and let me know what your thoughts on these palettes down below too. Are you interested in getting one or the other or both? Do you have them? What do you think? Here is what I think. I think that they do stand alone. I think that they do complement each other at the same time. I was very happy to see that it was not as green as this one because like I said, that was the thing I was the most nervous about in the PR pictures or whatever, promotional pictures, that's the word for it. I love rosy tones and when I did the 2 looks 1 palettes using this one, I absolutely loved the looks I created. I am all about like that, you know, like the Huda Beauty Naughty Nude and New Nude palettes. Those are my favorites. So I'm so excited to have these in my collection. I do think that this gives off a very similar vibe to 420, but just a more neutral version. So if you have that one, you like it, and you want something a little more on the neutrally side, you can do this one. The matte formulas are just as beautiful as I've come to know and love about Melt Cosmetics. And the shimmer formulas, the metallics in these 2 palettes, they're good. They just feel dry to the touch. They're just not as creamy as like the Smoke Sessions palette from them. Those metallics, I wish that they could duplicate that in the other ones because they're so creamy. I know that there was like an issue with one of the batches of this one where things got a little funky. So maybe that's like why they stay away from making them too creamy of a formula because they just can't nail down that kind of formula that without it spoiling. I don't know what the case may be. It still came across really pretty. They just start to get dull, so they don't last long on the eyes with that metallic formula. However, both the palettes only have 2 of those shades in it, and even my favorite 420 has only 1, and I'm able to look past that one particular shade and still love the palette so much, even though I don't like that metallic formula. So if you're getting it for the metallics, I would say go to a different brand. Go to Huda Beauty, whatever, because there are better metallic formulas. But if you're looking for a good, richly pigmented matte formula that still blends beautifully, these palettes do that just like all the other Melt palettes that I have used. They do that. But that's my story that I'm sticking to it. Isn't that an old country song? I love both of them. I'm happy that I got them. I probably could, if I had to pick between the 2, I would 100% go with Gemini 2 because I am a rosy tone gal. I love the grungy greens and nobody does it better than Melt. They have the best grungy greens, but for me, I already have the 420 palette. So I personally would choose the 420 over this one just because I don't need the neutrals. If you are looking for more greens and yellows and just a little bit more green, go with the 420 if that is something that you've been like considering between the two. And then if you're looking for more metallics, go with the Patrick Ta, because that formula is beautiful and you're getting the same rosy tone vibe, just more metallics, you know? Hopefully this helped navigate you in your decision making. If you want to see a 2 looks 1 palette using the Gemini 1, let me know. Like I said, I already did Gemini 2, which you can check out on my channel. I'll link it down in the description box. But that's it. Subscribe before you go. Follow me at ashleyellix on Instagram and TikTok for some extended content. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.